Helen informative speech. My first semester at Wake Forest, I played the roles of a drunken ballerina, a personification of the Women's and Gender Studies department, and a brainwashed cha-cha slide dancer. These are the roles that the Little Ting Banshees comedy troupe gave me during our first performance in the fall of 2013. The Little Ting Banshees comedy troupe has evolved from a small club performing for a poorly attended audience to 20 years later selling out the Brendel Recital Hall biannually. From the establishment in 1993 up till today, many Wake Forest students are unaware of the history of this organization and the process it takes us to put together each show. While many people think this group may have started by a few students cracking jokes and wanting a pair of ears to listen, there are deeper roots and thoughtful meaning that went into this idea in 1993. Ben Tomlin was the founder, and he was a junior at Wake Forest, and he was a member of the AAP here at Wake Forest, and him and 7 other buddies got together and to kind of recreate the idea of having SNL here on campus. So they dubbed themselves the Little Ting Banshees from a CD of Irish bard music that Tomlin saw in the theater department sound booth. And I actually got to talk with him when they had a reunion here this past fall when they all came together and for a day just kind of made sketches. And he told me that the traditions that have carried over for the past 20 years are that we still wear khaki pants and a white button-down Oxford shirt, and that we have an audition process that they still had when they started 20 years ago, and that they perform. The first show that they had was called ISOC, which stands for In Search of a Corner, and that's because it was first performed in the Ring Theater. And when I spoke with him, he said when they had their first performance, he was expecting maybe 30 friends to come and just kind of like listen while they cracked some jokes they had made up at midnight, joking around. And he walks up to the door, and there was a line out the door with like 80 people dressed up with beads, banging drums, people he had never seen before, and it was the best experience of his life. When I was looking for more information, I found an article that our now director, who's a senior, Brett Raybould, wrote, and it was an OGB, he wrote it in 2013, and he says, "The Little Ting Banshees comedy troupe was founded in 1748 by a Hudson Bay fur trader named Tilly Crackstone as a way of using jokes to seduce his customers into paying exorbitantly high prices for less than stellar game products. His go-to bits were, 'These fur prices are unbearable,' and also, 'Prices so low you'll wolf you or dead.' Also, his fur business went under due to the rise in popularity of pleather leggings. So Tilly moved south, where he landed in what would later become North Carolina. I approached Brett and asked him what the truth was. So we went over the truth that I heard from Tomlin as well about the history of the Little Ting Banshees, and he also informed me on how he thinks the Little Ting Banshees has developed over the past 20 years, and he talked about how the audition process has gotten much more intense, and that before it was more of an interview process, and they would just ask someone if they were serious about joining the troupe, and now it's a 2-day process of 3 hours at each time. You come in, and there's a callback process, but the first day there's monologues you just perform, and there's packets of questions like, what's the worst way to eat a Reese's peanut butter cup? And you're sitting there with your eyes wide open, no clue. And you get together with a group of people you've never met before and put together a sketch, and you perform it for people, and it's just a really different kind of experience. So it's much more intense, and he talked about how we've moved from the Ring Theater, which Tomlin and his friends performed into the Brendel Recital Hall, which we have 2 shows each time, which are 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock performance, and we sell about 1,000 tickets per performance, which in calculation is 25% of the student body. And he also spoke about how the alumni that have graduated, where they've gone in the business world. We have Sarah Schneider, who is a graduate in 2005, writes for SNL. Caldwell Tanner, graduate in 2009, writes for collegehumor.com. Mike Babe Ruther, graduate in 2008, writes for Cartoon Network. And then there was an article written in 2014 by Jane Bianchi called On the Museum Hack about graduate Nick Ray of 2004, who works at the Met Museum in New York City. And he was quoted and said, "I was surrounded by the most talented writers and actors. It taught me how to not be shy." His goal in his job now as a tour guide in the Met Museum is to bring pieces of art to life through fun facts and stories and jokes. This group of Greeks, Geeds, athletes, poets, and much more has grown into something so much bigger than 7 guys sitting in a circle telling jokes. The rehearsal schedule that we have is a 3 to 4 day process where we get together for 2 to 3 hours at a time on the three days, and on Sundays we have double sessions which are 6 hours long. And we have a 3-step process where we pitch ideas, and then you go into the rooms after 40 minutes of pitching ideas and you write a sketch on it with a group of 3 people, and then you come back and read it for the group. And then after a semester of this, we have something called War Room, and during War Room it's a 12-hour long day of just kind of cutting down the sketches from 90 sketches until you've got 12 sketches left that everyone should feel somewhat satisfied with. And if you don't feel like a sketch going, you either bone saw, which means you feel strongly about something not going into the show because you think someone will be offended by it, or you can make this movement, which means you think 100% be in the show. So I'm not standing up here today to inform you, or to tell you you should come to our performance on April 2nd, but just to inform you on the history of this group and why, and what the process it is to perform. Thank you.